Paranoia Agent, a series I literally only picked up because of the kid on the title screenshot with a bat, is one of the most surprising anime I have ever seen. Directed by the late Satoshi Kon, known for Perfect Blue and Tokyo Godfathers, someone known for his abstract themes and symbolism, this show is clearly not for everybody. Though the plot and overarching message isn't as murky or convoluted as shows like Serial Experiments Lain or Evangelion, Paranoia Agent will surely scratch the itch of those wishing to use their brain a little more intellectually. Kon's genius directing is put on full display here, encompassing a robust amount of subject matter and character personality types within its relatively short 13-episode run. The result? A mind-blowing tale with complex characters and an ending that will melt your face off. This is Paranoia Agent. Did I mention that this was produced by Madhouse during their glory years? For some of you who are fans of Trigun or Death Note or other anime like that may be a reason alone to give it a shot. The main story begins as a whodunit of sorts, with a well-known manga artist being attacked by an unknown figure with a crooked bat and rollerblades. Kinda strange. Deemed Little Slugger, or Shonen Bat in Japanese, a couple of detectives pick up the case and suspense ensues. Seems pretty straightforward, right? That's exactly what I envisioned, but as the plethora of victims were being explored with more and more detail, my preconceived notions crumbled around me like a sandcastle. Each of the early episodes are experienced vicariously through a different character's first-person run-ins with the assailant Little Slugger. Although an immense amount of time isn't spent on each character, their thoughts and personalities are dexterously explored within this small window. It's actually quite impressive to see the whole wide spectrum of personas addressed by Kon. There's the socially inept introvert, the pretty boy, the Gary Stu, the bipolar, the facade, the innocent, schizophrenic, and the stubborn and naive. These characters encompass some of the most fragile or damaged parts of our own selves, making them oddly relatable. I'm also assuming that they were meant to mimic the overly depressed populace infecting Japan itself. Though the initial encounters with Little Slugger appear predatory, as the episodes tick by, the characters find a certain solace and relief when they're attacked by the individual, making the work of detectives Maniwa and Ikari that much more challenging. Satoshi Kon's work always seems to start out relatively familiar, only to spiral out of control mentally toward the end. Through his adroit directing, Paranoia Agent evolves from a suspense thriller to a satire about suicide, then to a delusional horror, and wraps up nicely with the healthy dose of omnipotent symbolism. You know, kind of packages everything into one big box. It manages to do all of this in the most subtle way possible. Whether it's a scene of busy train riders deflecting responsibilities on their cell phones, or the collection of eerie interviews and broadcasts regarding a sensationalized animated dog, Kon fills our heads with the right tools to piece together into a coherent and plausible synopsis. Little Slugger becomes a means of salvation for the mentally crippled to escape their inner demons. Rumors of his attacks spread like rapid fire amongst a paranoid population, becoming even more dangerous than an actual criminal. Especially a boy rollerblading with a bent baseball bat. A paranoia agent is born and begins infecting society through media, hearsay, and other technology. Episode 9, while my least favorite, is a perfect example of this. There isn't a diehard anime fan alive who hasn't at least heard of Satoshi Kon and his works. Although Paranoia Agent remains the single anime series from the famous director, it's arguably the best and most thought-provoking. There are quite a few similarities to his movies Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress, but Paranoia Agent capitalizes on these themes and uses the longer runtime to its advantage. With the way social and mainstream media seems to effortlessly control the masses these days, the parallels between Little Slugger and internet gossip is shocking. Much like the clairvoyance envisioned by Hideo Kojima in Metal Gear Solid 2's ending.
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context?
I have managed to make it through each of Kon's works over the years, and though possibly not the best critical success, Paranoia Agent has left the biggest impact on my brain, I still think about it all the time and it's terrifying. I'd arguably say this is Kon's magnum opus. All right, so I kind of wanted to talk about something for a few minutes, so please skip here in the video if you don't want any intense spoilers. Okay, that was your warning, so now I'm going to start talking again. As confusing as the last episodes might have been on the surface, most people could come up with a reasonable explanation for the way that things turned out. We all can come to an understanding that Little Slugger is not a real person, but a delusion spawned from her initial introverted damsel, Sukiko. What is more interesting is the apparent antithesis to this delusion. The kawaii pink dog, Moromi, is actually more of a doppelganger of sorts. Both of Sukiko's mental creations infiltrated the masses, one inciting paranoia, the other mass hysteria. However, both Moromi and Little Slugger instilled a sense of salvation to the people of Japan. It's a distinct parallel to the way the media sensationalizes hysteria and paranoia in our own world. Considering the fact this anime was drawn up in the early 2000s is proof that Satoshi Kon's ideas were hitting the proverbial nail on the head. The whole thing is actually sort of mesmerizing when you think about it. When the final episode plays out, although Sukiko has reached her own deliverance, the vicious circle is seeing itself playing out again and again with another animated character. I wanted to make another point to those of us who have seen the entire series. When I first watched episode 8, I disregarded it as filler rubbish and moved on. After watching it a second time, it may actually be the most important episode in the entire anime. The 3 characters in this anecdotal episode were actually dead, but keep existing in an effort to kill themselves. None of them explain why they wish to die, or ever really exude pain and suffering, adding to the convincing nature of the satire. The characters even draw in Little Slugger at one point, pleading as to why he can't come and end their suffering as well. In this episode, Kon pays homage to the suicidal nature of middle-aged people in Japan, even having the characters attempt to hang themselves in a forest appearing to emulate the very real suicide forest at the base of Mount Fuji. It didn't sit well with me, but definitely added to the vibe of the show much more than I had previously realized. Okay, spoilers are over. You made it. Congratulations. Onwards and upwards. The art is very dark and very ominous in Paranoia Agent, especially as the series moves on. For 2004, it is quite good. As far as the character models are concerned, I have a similar complaint to many of his works. Although the drawings make the characters essentially wear their personalities on their sleeves, the large mouths and lifeless eyes on some individuals were distracting and cringy at times. Not necessarily a bad thing, but more so personal preference. It also could be the Madhouse animators, since I didn't really care for the character models in Death Note or Trigun either. The opening and ending of the show resonated with me more than I care to mention. If you read the lyrics for the OP after the show has been completed, the juxtaposed image of a nuclear mushroom cloud with laughing characters is beyond unsettling. I don't know if it was supposed to be a connection to post-World War II Japan and the setting for Paranoia Agent, but the thought of it makes it all the more disturbing. The lucid and creepy tonal electronic music of the ending is equally as unnerving, and I found myself honestly creeped out whenever the episodes would end. It teeters on the edge of genius and psychotic. I'm just not sure which end it is. I can't say enough about the English dub for this anime. I tend to shy away from them entirely, but when Liam O'Brien is involved, I kinda give it a try. It appears Madhouse recruited their best for this dub, and I really found it more appealing than the Japanese voice actors. Some of O'Brien's scenes as Maniwa becoming delusional were terrifying and compelling. Downright expert level acting. Overall, I would recommend Paranoia Agent to either fans of Satoshi Kon's films or those of us who wish to explore anime more in depth. Like I said at the beginning, although Kon doesn't spoon-feed you the intellectual themes, they're not nearly as faint or convoluted as in Neon Genesis Evangelion or Serial Experiments Lane. I'd say Ergo Proxy is probably the biggest similarity in terms of mental capacity that I can think of off the top of my head. Either way, it is a complete mind screw. Saying I enjoyed Paranoia Agent would be odd, but I can't think of many other anime that have stuck with me as much as this one has. Whether it's the haunting opening, the controversial satire on suicide, or the overall relatability to modern culture, this anime will have you thinking for quite some time after you watch it. So what did you guys think of Paranoia Agent? I want to see your comments down below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and enabling notifications so that honest anime reviews can jump to the top of your subscription feed. New videos are coming out every single Sunday. Alright guys, until next time.